How do you gauge it? How do you gauge a person who can be rehabilitated and someone who's not? Because there's some people I don't believe can be.
This mentality. If that happens in the village, that guy's fucked. From a situation where we all know you got away with murder. Everybody knows you got away with it. Even if the law has not considered you whatever the law considers you, I don't need the law. The law and God are two different things.
Okay, then let me play angel's advocate here then, yeah? How do you then embed that person back into society? I didn't know you was dropping something today.
We're not stopping, I told you.
I didn't know you dropped something today.
I'm trying to work so hard when man goes, you know what? I rate Poet. No matter what, he's always going to work.
No, I hear that. And I remember, like, what was it, last year, you was kind of saying that you felt like you never got to it, really.
I didn't get to nothing last year. So you start the way you mean to go on. We've dropped twice already. Music video, party. We're dropping again next month. There's no games.
Lost and found, yeah?
Come on, this is all the music that's been on social medias, that's been on like Twitters and YouTube and SoundCloud. Let's put it on the streaming platforms.
I hear that.
Let's let people get it.
Let them have it.
Money. Let them have it.
Let them have it.
We want some money. You have that. Feels right.
What was we listening to earlier? Where was we? Oh, you know I love me some Etta, but I think where was we? We was around here, weren't we? Yeah, we was here. Earlier, we was here. I was with Jamie yesterday actually as well.
Is it?
Yeah.
Do you know what? I missed that guy.
He's cooking up some stuff. Not for any particular reason.
Just you got a charger in here?
Yeah.
I genuinely didn't bring mine because I thought you must have one. Huh?
Do you want it next to you?
Next to me? No, I don't need it. I need the microphone. So you was with Jamie yesterday?
Yeah, he's just cooking up some stuff at the moment still.
He likes doing that and for no reason.
Yeah. I think all it is, I think he's just trying to figure out, like, what he wants to do with it. But right now, I think he's just in the space of recording because he just enjoys doing it more than anything. Do you get what I'm saying?
That's
like he went through a stage where he was just making rhythms.
Yeah.
That's all he did. Just like rhythm after rhythm after rhythm after rhythm, just banging out rhythms. But now he seems like he's just, he's just vocaling now. Do you know what I'm saying?
Do you know what it is? I advise, everyone knows anyway, if you're a vocalist, even if you're doing off-season, even people in off-season still train. You have to go and do what you're doing because you never know. Yeah. Someone might say to you, yo, I got a verse you want to do. You hear the whole thing. But sometimes when you ain't spatting time, you're cold, Chuckie.
Yeah, no,
so you need to keep spitting just so you can act it. Like J. Cole, I feel like he never stops rapping. I feel like J. Cole, even in off-season, is just doing it for fun. Yeah. So when someone like 21 Savage goes, I got a rhythm for you, and you hear how that story went down, he's ready.
Right.
Ready. So, yeah, man.
And some have to just be like super tapped in. I remember, what was it? Gets told me this in a conversation that I filmed with JD, and he was like, you know what? Like, Kano needs to tap in. And if he's not tapped in, he just can't do it. Regardless of who it's for, he's just not, that's just not the space that he's in right now.
Yeah.
But catch me at the time when I'm in, and you'll get all of the smoke. Whatever it is you want. Do you get what I'm saying?
I hear it. That's pep as well.
Is it, yeah?
Yeah. And it's funny, even down to like that song you're playing, like those, I love them times because on that Paris song you lot were speaking about, it starts off with just me and Scribs. But because we're at a time where it's early, bare people are jumping on it, whether they're cold, they're hot, they don't care because they're just excited. Maya Jammer's at the end speaking.
Yeah, I saw her,
Like you got Cash in there, like there was best, so I really appreciate them times, but I think it's like when it becomes wait a minute, I can make money out of this and it's serious. Yeah. It changes the dynamic in your mind and then it's like, which is good. I think it's good that you take it more serious, but it's a very interesting perspective because Hcpod didn't even come to the video shoot for Better Than, and it's because she's going through a transition in becoming and making a different sonical experience. She doesn't even know what that looks like. Right. So she's like, I don't even want to be in a video until then. So I find all of the places the mind can go at when you told me about Kano, I find them so interesting from...
That is super interesting to me.
Yes,
because that, like, obviously that's someone taking their craft seriously, but also trying to tap into an emotion that they can't articulate yet. Do you get what I'm saying? But they're going to figure it out though. And it's going to come out in the music. It's going to come out in the art. That's the bit that I like.
And Vibba, like, sometimes people, like, not even just Vibba, I reckon most people are super sensitive sometimes when somebody doesn't want to be involved. I fully get it in terms of the transitions to reinventing yourself and not sure how you want to express yourself or how you want to even look visually. I fully get that journey. But it's so funny, like, when Hcpod said that, she didn't want to come to the video shoot, the first thought, I was like, oh my God, why? I wonder if we've done something. And then I went through a process in my mind. I was like, no, I actually understand fully. And when you say it to other people, it's funny how, like, if you're not the individual that has to do it for a profession, you take offense to it. Like, oh, she don't rate you. I'm like, it's nothing to do. Like, it's actually nothing to do with that. So, yeah, I find it interesting.
Honorable shout out to her.
Always.
Blade Vision was at the studio as well. You know I rate him as well. I think he's just cold because he's a producer and a barist as well, isn't it? Yeah?
Exactly.
And like he was almost saying the same thing, just lightly. Like funny enough, because he was just making bare rhythms. He stopped making bare rhythms and he's in vocal period now. He's just vocaling just bare things and whatnot. You know what? I'll be honest with you, bro. Yeah, I'm not a rapper and I'm not a producer. I love music and I love seeing the process, bro. I really enjoy that, and I know for a lot of people it's boring because you know what, you come in there, someone might be writing a lyric or whatever, and for some people it might take time, and you're hearing the same beat getting played over and over and over again. And before somebody goes on vocals, it could be a long time before someone vocals. But you know what? Yeah. For me, I still enjoy watching that. No. I enjoy seeing the person in the booth, like in the studio, either with their phone out or no phone or whatever, and they're just walking around. You're hearing loop. Yeah, I got it. And then they go in there and then they just do it. Or even a bit of like the producer cooking up the beat and that. Because sometimes I'm like, I'll hear a producer cooking up the rhythm now. And then like, for me, I'm like, right, the rhythm sounds where it's supposed to be. But then they just put more on it and I'm like, okay, this is going to be interesting to find out the place where they stop. Yeah. Like, where do you stop cooking? At what point do you stop cooking? But then also, there's the other bit as well, yeah, where you see like the producer and the vocalist, like Angel. I've seen Angel so many times be in the studio, smoking a spliff. He will not be doing nothing for time. He'll just be sitting there, smoking or whatnot, just talking, almost meditating. Then he'll just go to the keys and he'll just be playing around on the keys. And then you can see that he's like, he stops at one bit and you can see, he's got something now.
Yeah.
And then before you know it now, he records that bit. And then now you know, don't even chat to him.
Just leave
him
That's
alone.
TJ.
Leave him
That's
alone.
TJ.
He's now creating. Then you start seeing him creating the rhythm or whatnot. Then the rhythm just gets played for time. He'll just be sitting there, smoking, nodding his head or whatnot. Next minute now, takes the microphone, he just starts laying down the hook. Bro, that shit is fucking... Like, that skill is just sick to see for me.
I like when there's 3 artists that we've worked with Hcpod. There's obviously loads of people that have crazy, but I'm not even going to narrow it down to 3 artists. I'm just going to give you some experiences from some artists that I find very incredible. So when me and TJ create, we always try to create a compromise when it comes to Vibba. So you will make a loop, and then I will try and think of a vocal that's inclusive rather than centering it around me too much, unless that's what the song needs.
Okay.
So you'll make a vocal that will make people go on, Paul, you're gliding, or you get me. And then once you've got them there and the beats are marriage, you hear, is there any space? Or we've had one tune that's going to come off our collaboration tape that we're bringing out later on this year. Scorcher comes in the studio. And I'm like, hey, play that rhythm. There's one rhythm I want to play Scorcher. Scorcher's there for 1 minute. He just starts barring.
Oh, fucking hell.
Koji Radical, I said, Koji, come to the studio.
He pulled
Koji's
up.
sitting on the sofa. It's the second track of our second project. You Should Be Here. Boo Boo. Koji's just sitting down. I'm like, yeah, Koji, this is the song. Gal in my phone book, gal in my phone book, gal in my technique. I'm looking at this guy like, what is he doing? He's like, yeah, I got it. And it's all seamless. It's like brother, he's an incredible vocalist, man. Forget that. He's coming in calm, like, you're right. Goes in the booth. Flawlessly. Of course, it's me. Everything out of the order. I'm like, whoa, what? So, like, the way you looked at Angel, I find it so interesting how these people just morph.
Yeah.
When the music's on, they're just so cool. The music comes on and they just more. A2's really good as well.
Yeah.
A2's really good. Keeps himself to himself. Just see him on his phone And then
all of a sudden, bam.
Brother, when he's in the booth, he's even, because like when you vocal, you got to think about your cadence. You got to figure out like how you're saying certain things, how can you emphasize certain things. And I always find it mad interesting that people like Scorcher, Koji, Gets, and A2, are the people I've worked with, get the cadence so quickly. Like they really mean what they're saying. So they know exactly how to lay down the vocal. They know exactly where their voices should be optical and like how it should sound. Brother, it's just ridiculous to me. Gets has probably got, for a 16 bar, he's probably got 7 different ways he could lay it.
Oh, right.
And I'm like,
yeah.
This is mad.
Yeah, he said that in that same conversation. He said that as well.
That's mad to
like,
me.
You can say it in so many different ways. It's like you're figuring out that way of saying it. Do you get what I'm saying? Yeah, bro.
Sorry, yeah, man, but I just...
That's fucking sick.
Shout out Hcpod though, Lost and Found out now, man. The videos for most of the songs are out. The most, the vocal track, the focus track, Jamie and Hcpod, I like that. Yeah, man.
While we're
good.
here, while we're on music here, I just noticed this just before you came, yeah? So one of my favourite artists for a minute now is Knucks.
Mm-hmm.
Knucks is currently in Australia. Mm-hmm. Hey, man, look at this.
I know.
This is in Australia, blood.
Mm-hmm.
Nuts.
It don't surprise me. Shout out my bridge in
Brother, do you know how fucking sick that is?
You should have seen what he done to Paris.
Oh, serious?
Just seen what he done to Paris. It comes on, nonchalant, tracksuit. The crowd is very bougie. Oh, we're just too nice. It's preppy fashion. Yeah. Knucks comes on some rude boy thing and tears down the show. And he tears it down so much. If he was affected by the crowd for the first 30 seconds, he flops.
Okay.
He's moving like the crowd are going mad from day dot.
Right.
So because of that confidence, well, no, you might get a little two-step.
You
have to get a little two-step. Like, I was proper rating Knucks' performance, man. It was good. So Australia don't surprise me. Not quite Central C, but it don't surprise me.
Yeah, no, I hear that.
Because New Zealand is still further.
I hear that.
That's ridiculous, Knucks, man. I'm joking with you. That's just absolutely ridiculous. And when you take a look at, take into consideration the sonical experience he gives.
Look at that.
For it to stretch that far down under.
Look at that.
That's mad, bro. Knucks,
Knucks, bro.
Like, R.I.P. energy, man. I'm telling you, energy foresaw all of this, man.
Do you know why I love that? Is because, like, all right, the game's changed a lot, yeah. But rappers like him, you just almost feel like, maybe it's my own conditioning and from what I've seen in it, but it's like, you just don't usually see this happen for rappers like him.
That's what I said. His sonical experience. This is mad. You know what? He's opening a brand new door.
Yes.
Or maybe it was open, but it was just ajar. He's just gone.
Oh, boom. Yeah. It was open. It was cracking.
Yeah,
Do you get what I'm
Little
saying?
Sims opened that door.
Right, exactly.
Sims opened that door, and she left it open for a while. But maybe from a male perspective, because a female rapper can get away with that sonical experience a little bit more, because it's a bit more, you would say, quote unquote, soft. It's not as, you get me? It's a bit more aggressive. That aggressive sonical experience from a man is more universally understood. So Knucks doing that from the UK.
Yeah, it's kind of sick actually. That's a sick point because obviously, like, Sims being a woman as well, like cracking open that door and obviously doing what she's, and then that door's been open for a minute. It's been open for a minute, but it's like now you're starting to see someone else come through and really like penetrate, and not to say that she isn't, because obviously she's doing that too. But it's like
she needs
it's
help.
taking a minute. It's taking a minute.
She needs help. She can't do it all by herself.
Of course not. She's got loads going on. She's acting. She's doing all kinds of stuff. And also, I think it's got a lot to do with the type of person she is too. I think she probably leans a lot more to the Kano side of style in regards to like tapping in. You get what I'm saying? Like if she's away from it, she's away living, so that when she's ready to tap in, she can just say everything that she needs to say. Then when she's gone, she can go and act for a little while. When she don't want to do that, she'll be in the hills somewhere. She's referenced it bare times in her music, just being in the hills, being away, just experiencing life or whatnot. Tapped out, come back when she's ready again, tapping back in. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's her thing. But
she's too good, that's why. When you're that level, it's with Gets, I always say it. When he's that level, his mediocre song is better than half the music out.
Yeah.
But that's still not good enough for him.
Yeah,
if Messi scores one against Real Betis, we go, okay. Messi, you're unfortunately gonna get a hat-trick against them guys because the level and where we see you've got to exceed yourself, and yourself is really, really high. So that's why I kind of credit people like Little Sims even more, because they're not making a sound which is based upon a popular sound. They're not making a sound which is based upon something that people can relate to straight away. They're creating a real... It's a Van Gogh thing, fam. Like, it's mad art.
They're creating music that they genuinely just fuck with, they like, and that they just want to listen to. And I like that.
Yeah, 100%.
Like that. And
it's
I always gravitate to that. Because I'm not mad at the playing the game thing or whatever, or the popular ear stuff and whatever. It's great. Like, I love the fact that so many rappers and whatnot and artists are just making money from... And it's not even just them, it's also the people around them that are being able to benefit from it too. Their friends are their tour managers, they've got their friends around them that they're employing and that are on really good wages. I love that. And they're out of the hood,
they're changing everyone's life,
changing everyone. It's not just their lives that's getting changed, it's
everyone.
And around actually them. Right, I'm going to get to that point afterwards here, but what I always gravitate to the person who just keeps their head down and just does their thing regardless of the climate. Yeah, that's like I sense that with Sims, I sense that with Knucks and whatnot, and I love to see what's happening from it. But quickly, just going back, just my mind just went here. Yeah, one of the reasons why this is so sick.
Sorry, Jelly Baby, artists, because this is a really serious thing.
When you what is that?
Jelly Babies, but not the fucking Haribo ones. Shout out,
hey, my mind
Maynard
went down a
Bassett.
mad rabbit hole. By the way, I'm about to go down a
go, let's go.
Wait, no, I'm good. Those are cold. No, I'm alright for now.
For now, we said for now.
I'm alright for now. No, yeah, I'll call for them when I'm ready. But alright, so boom. Why it's sick that you're seeing this happening for rappers or whatever, yeah, is because, as I said to you before, you're having, they're employing their friends. They're changing their friends' lives, their families' lives, people around them, whatever, who's close to them, yeah. And some of the rappers are making crazy amount, or not even just rappers, artists are making a crazy amount of money, yeah, which then trickles down into their team. Their team then are able to be away from the hood, so to speak, and make an actual wage in supporting their brethren and being in and around that. Now, the ripple effect on that is, the positive one, is that not only does the artist manage to buy, especially the artist that comes from a certain environment. I'm talking about them, by the way. I'm not talking about someone who comes from privilege. I'm talking about someone who comes from a certain environment, yeah? They get to do what most of their parents were not able to do, buy a house.
Yes.
Yeah? And not only do they get to do that, but the person that they get to put on the wage gets to do that also, purely because a lot of the time, the artist or the team, this is all going through a business. So now, let's just say, for example, you're going through the roof and I'm your best friend, I'm with you all the time, whatever, you employ me now, yeah? You're paying me through your business. Now, guess what? I can now show the mortgage people them that I can afford a house too, because ultimately I'm employed by this business who is my friend, who's an artist, who has a career ahead of them, who's making a lot of money, yeah? Now, this is where we go down a rabbit hole.
Okay.
Where it changes more lives, yeah, is that, I was thinking about this a lot. Let's look at inheritance. Because we came from a certain environment, yeah, and our parents were going through what they were going through at the time, some of them weren't able to buy a house. Some of them weren't able to, didn't understand the game. They didn't understand credit. They didn't understand how to, like, they just didn't. It
wasn't their thing. They didn't understand. Yeah, they was before their time.
So it was difficult for them to even pass that on. Yeah. If anything, what they would do is they'd pass on information like debt is bad. Or don't get a credit card because credit card is terrible. Which
they're fresh to this country, so they don't know. The regime within this country they're alien to, so they can't really pass it on until they've been here long enough to understand it. So I get that.
So one of the reasons why you find that certain people, especially from privilege, end up becoming or putting themselves in decent positions, even if they still might be going through it from a society point of view. A lot of people still get inheritance, which we weren't able to get. Now, by these lot, not just artists actually, but by people that are in creative and artistic fields that actually go through the roof, and they're employing their friends or whatever, and now everyone's able to buy yards. See, when they have kids, what can they do? Inheritance. builds a level of sustainability and stability amongst community. Do you get what I'm saying?
Unless
it helps so much.
It does, apart from inheritance tax, which is quite bad.
I know, yeah.
But I hear you.
50% in it.
Yeah.
But, which is nuts still. I mean, all of that can, over periods of time, that can change. And also, I'm not telling people to do this, but you know, there's ways around.
My brother, you gotta find, of course.
Things. But you know what? Like, I think in the long term, long term, you will start to see like the positive effects of not just a person on stage changing people's lives. You'll actually be able to see like people being generational wealth, and I love that. That's what I love. You get what I'm saying?
One thing I think, because it's funny that you touched upon, because inheritance, and you can inherit other things apart from money, right?
Of course. Absolutely.
So when you inherit struggle, it sometimes shifts in certain people to give them ambition.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of people from our hood are very ambitious. The only problem is we haven't learnt the knowledge of how to sustain. Whereas a lot of people that I've met at the top, they're ambitious to an extent, but they have sustainability. So whatever they manage to achieve, they can sustain it for a long period of time because they have money management skills or whatever those other things are. Because their parents have been in this country long enough to understand the regime here, so they can pass that on. Why I rate the rappers and so on and so forth that create that themselves is because we're just from a place where we're going to be ambitious. Not all of us. Some of us were from a place where they have sustainability and their parents, they knew what to do. But personally speaking, and a lot of my friends, we're all from poverty, proper poverty. Yeah. So what we learned was we don't want to be in this. So we do everything to come out of it, but sometimes don't know how to sustain it. So we end up falling back in it. Not in all cases, but just in some cases. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well, at some point, that's probably going to be a talking point as well, you know, being able to sustain, because you're so right. Do you know how much people are actually they're going to make enough to have done so much with the money that they made and with the opportunity that they had and the influence that they had, but some of them are actually going to just throw it down the drain.
100%.
And not everyone at the end of it is actually going to be sitting comfortable, but those hopefully at a point will be a talking point for the next gen that can help them, because that's got to be the hardest bit. You see, when you actually don't have it, and then you start to get it. You do go through a period where you feel, and I've been guilty of this too, you know, by the way.
Same.
You see, when the money comes in and that, like, it just feels like it's always coming in.
All of a sudden you're in LA.
Yeah, exactly.
For no reason.
Yeah, exactly. But look, there's the fine balance of like having, what is it? Like fun and creating memories, because ultimately memories are a lot stronger than money.
Oh yeah.
They're a lot stronger than money. And I find it sick when I meet a person, who's lived a long life, and they just, like, they're sitting there and they're just telling you all of their memories, like, shit that they did, like, whether it be fucking experiences, traveling experiences, or even just, like, environmental experiences, whatever the fuck it is. Like, I like that more. I'm more impressed by that more than just the money, but also, at the end of it, you do want to be as comfortable as possible. So, I think we as people have got to find that fine line of what that actually looks like, and I don't think that we're there yet.
Not quite, because I don't think there's enough examples of individuals that can show you. And one thing that kind of happened, I think, not so much now, because now you, like you said, you have stories of individuals that we know in this country. I think some of the early examples was Ludacris when he made like his brethren, his chef, and then. But sorry, where was I going with this? My head's gone.
I was just saying, because you said there's not a lot of
there we go. There's not enough examples, in it. The more examples that become present, then we'll have more blueprints, and I just think that's all we need. Just a couple more blueprints and variety as well. We don't just need the hood rapper blueprint.
Right.
We need the Knucks blueprint.
Yes.
We need the Little Sims blueprint, and the more blueprints that are available in the hood, you can just go, well, I want to be this type of artist, or I want to be this. Let's take a look at the various examples that we have in and around us, and we don't have to copy them, but we can take similar steps, because it's not going to be too dissimilar what you need to do in order for you to take on that level of success. So I'm happy. Yeah. It's nice.
And relatability just counts for so much.
Ooh.
If someone else just tells me about it, cool, that's nice. But when I relate to somebody, it just sits nicer.
What I want to say as well to people that are listening to this podcast and this conversation, which I think is sick. One thing that happens, and Chuckie's done it when he done the podcast and he phoned me up, he foresaw something that was going to happen. And when you foresee something that's going to happen that's not quite prominent, you could give up really early. But there's that picture that goes around in the meme of the guy going through the tunnel and he's so close to the goal and he turns around whilst the other person keeps going, and it's like, if me and Chuckie stop 1 year into doing podcasts because we don't feel there's not a reaction, then all of a sudden we're not in the space we're in today.
Right.
So sometimes you gotta sustain it, even without the knowledge of sustainability. It has to be the ambition that pulls you through, because we're sustaining something with little knowledge, so eventually it could run out. But what happens? Competition. I want to make a podcast. Once you have competition within a field, you can always make money
100%.
because there's an industry there. So don't give up until there's an industry, people, I would say as well, when with ambition.
Ain't it interesting that people get put off by competition, and then as soon as there's competition, they don't want to take part anymore?
I think that's fake. It's crazy. Without competition, there's no money.
Hey, sometimes as soon as there's someone else, they don't want to do it now.
That's and you're right. It's fear though, man. That's God forgive me for saying this word. I'm trying to stop swearing, but that is a pussy mentality. You throw competition my way, I'm ready. Let's go, bro.
Sometimes people just want to be in the field on their own.
But you know why though? I think people like that never look inwards. They always look outwards. So they're only used to trying to outdo other people. The person you need to outdo is yourself.
Right, yeah.
Because you could outdo everyone, but that's just really, really easy for you. If I'm a millionaire amongst middle-class individuals, I can outdo them financially all the time. Let me go chill with Jay-Z. Oh, we have a problem. Let me see your ambition then. Let me see your ambition. You can't outdo Jay-Z. Can you ever outdo Jay-Z? Because Drake didn't give up.
Right.
Drake didn't give up.
Yeah.
He's not owned by Warner no more. He just has OVO sound. Drake didn't give up. So I just like looking at various examples of people that, because no one was challenging Hove. Now someone's challenging Hove.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was possible. Let your ambition be your drive, man. Be your sustainability. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and you know what I think that's sick as well, because you know, when Drake actually started to make noise, you started to see that Jay was like looking at that a bit. Like,
he was a bit.
Okay. Wait, hold on, mate. It's not always going to be me. Like, it might not always be me. It might not always be me, but I'm going to still be here, though. I'm going to still be here.
Yeah.
And you can I think, like, you could even hear the competitive nature when they was on the rhythms together.
The Pound Cake tune.
Yeah.
When my man's trying to kick game to him. Was it Pound Cake was kicking game to him?
Yeah.
Or the one before?
There was the one before.
It was the one before. It was on the first album.
I'm going to go to it.
What's the name of the song again?
Now.
How
that
can
was
I
one
forget?
of my favourite.
Pound Cake, I can't lie. Jay-Z just dropped. Cake. It wasn't that song. It was the one before.
It wasn't that one. It was the one
Drake,
before.
Here they come at you. He goes, Drake, here's how they're going to come at you.
Top down to the winner. That's what winners do.
Wait,
is it
Jay-Z?
I think it was
Jigga Man, more better.
Light
Up.
This has got to come out though, because they'll think it's Drake. Madness on that.
I could be wrong because I could have misinterpreted it. But did Jay-Z slightly do some of the things that he told Drake was going to happen to him?
Here's how they're going to come at you with silly rap fuse.
He didn't with silly rap feuds. He didn't.
Yeah, and there was that.
Between
there
them
was
two.
that Pusha T and
There
Meek.
was. But I feel
And then
like
there was more others. There was others who was trying to take a
Diddy.
dig here and there and whatnot.
Diddy was mad.
Oh yeah, did he?
But the way Drake killed him in 4 p.m. in Calabasas.
Yeah, he did Tiger as well. Remember Tiger? And he made a shot at Tiger. He said, "Stop." He goes, "Act your age, not your girl's age."
Do you know how fucking rude that is?
These times, that's when he was going out with one of the
Jenner.
Jenners, isn't it? She was like 18 at the time or something like that. So young food.
She got out of everyone though. But yeah, man, music's just interesting. It's funny. That's how sick music is. Man spoke about Vibba and the creative process in. We were talking about Knucks, and now we're here at Jay-Z and Drake.
Right,
this is sensational.
Went into some generational wealth and whatnot. Alright, listen, anyway, it's about to get real serious.
Before he gets there, when Natty knocks that texts the phone, just read the text if he's upstairs, just because he might knock 24. Natty? Yeah, he's the chef. He's really talented.
The chef?
Remember the guy I told you? Dan. He's called Dan. Fam, I'll put. No, I won't.
Who?
Yeah. Oh, I'm telling you, I said hello.
Yeah, he's recording something still.
He did tell me.
Would have come in.
Sorry, as you were, get serious, my brother.
Yeah, it's about to get serious today. Okay, where should we start? Let's start. I'm curious to find out your opinion on the Mason Greenwood thing and what happens going forward. So,
wow.
Okay, we've already had a conversation about, and it's there. If you lot will know. Some of you lot have been here for a minute. We've already had a conversation about that. But the charges were dropped. Yeah. In that situation, what do you think happens to Mason Greenwood in regards to like his career now? Do I need to give more context for people who have not been here before?
So, those who don't know, there's a young player for Manchester United called Mason Greenwood, polarized since I would say 2020, 2019. He had like Nike campaigns with Skepta making him a boot. He was on the trajectory, scoring great goals. He was doing extremely well until the girl he was seeing at the time put forward some content she had put on social media and voice notes, which showed quite disturbing graphic images of her and a bloody face, and some really disturbing voice notes of what seemed, I will say allegedly, which looks like Mason Greenwood forcing sex upon someone who didn't want to have sex.
Yeah.
So that's, and then obviously he got arrested. It all came out during COVID, so things were quite static. So people gathered evidence quite quickly, I would imagine. And he was prisoned for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
He's come out and he's been on trial ever since. And then recently they've just dropped all
charges. I mean, from the talk from before was that she didn't want to press the charges in the first
from day
place.
one.
Yeah,
we were talking about it. The parents didn't want to press charges, nothing like that.
Okay, so the charges have been dropped, yeah?
Yeah.
People have heard the audio and whatever and come to their own conclusions or whatnot, yeah? What happens now? Because I asked this question purely because, yeah, and you may be better at speaking about this than me, but in my mind, I'm like, all right, so the charges are dropped. That means he's employed by a company, yeah? Ultimately, he's employed by a company, right? Now, usually in company policy, even though we understand that football is a bit different and works a little bit different, yeah? If your company are unfairly treating you, that gives the employee grounds to potentially sue the company on unfair dismissal, if anything, right? Which I'm essentially saying that here is that, like, if he's actually training and he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, but he's not being played for any reason, remember, the charges have been dropped, so it means that, like, you're supposed to, what is it? You're innocent until proven guilty? What happens then?
It's an interesting one. We had a long conversation about it this morning, Chucks, and this is where I think I always struggle at work. I spoke. I'll get to exactly what I'm speaking about because it seems like I'm going all the way around. But the other day I had a conversation with Troy Deeney on Troy Deeney's podcast. Honourable
shout out to Troy Deeney. Bring him here, please, as well.
No problem, 100%. And we spoke about a village mentality and a capitalist society mentality. And I said a lot of people with village mentalities live outside of big cities. Now, a capitalist society is to capitalize on whoever is what you consider the enemy, maybe competition, so you can progress up the ladder of what have you. And a village mentality is, Chuckie, if you're the man that cuts hair, you're going to cut all the hair. And if you're the man that films, you're going to film everything. And we're all going to work together to progress as a collective unit. Now, where am I going with this? In the village mentality, the reasons why I love it is because you take your principles with you from home to work, because you have to work together. In a capitalist mentality, it's about outdoing the other person. So sometimes you can be a bit of a cunt. And let's get to the top. This is one of them examples to me. This is the capitalist mentality where a wronging's happened. And I understand it's such an extreme wronging. Do you even bounce back from that? You can take a look at the story from Ched Evans, Sheffield United striker, who was charges dropped of him as well?
After he was in prison.
He went to prison for it.
Oh, he went to prison. He went to prison
for rape. He was in prison for rape. He's come out and he's played again for Sheffield United and a couple.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a woman, a swimmer or an athlete. I can't remember her name, but she asked for her name to be taken off the stadium and so on and so forth because she didn't think it was right for Ched Evans.
Dame Kelly Holmes?
Might be her. I'm not sure. But yeah, she asked for her name to be taken off the situation because she didn't want a rapist to play for the club. All right, cool. Where am I going with all of this? Mason Greenwood to me is part of a situation which is capitalist. If you listen to them voice notes and you see everything, I'm not the black man that's going to start listening to the law just because of this case. I'm sorry, my brother. We've had too many examples just over COVID itself where we shouldn't really be listening to the law. So we can make a fair assessment as adults. Do I feel comfortable with what I've heard and what I've seen? In my heart, no, my brother.
Right.
So if you are not going to take responsibility for it at work in front of everyone, and I understand it's a mad thing to take responsibility for. You may have been maybe unaware of what you were doing to an extent. You didn't realize. You just ignorantly thought I'm playing the man or what have you. Then you've realized, no, this is actually rape. And now you're just like, oh my God, if I could take it back, I would. You probably are like that. I'm not saying you're not. Right. But you're not taking responsibility for it, irrespective of the repercussions. So because of that, for me personally, I don't believe you should play for the club. I don't believe you should even move forward within the world of football for the simple fact that the type of person I am is if I've made a mistake, I have to accept it. Right. And the only person that's free to judge me from that moment is God, because we're all sinners under the eyes of the Lord. Facts. So once we've told the truth, I just feel like if God takes you to the place of you playing football again or what have you, I'm not here to judge, my bro, because I've done some stupid things in my life as well. But the moment you're lying...
Not that one, but yeah.
No, ain't no one doing that, my brother. But you see, this situation here, it's so severe. The fact that you've not even told the truth at the back of it, your whole life is going to be shaped by this very moment. So everything you do is a cover-up to this. I don't want anything to do with a situation like that. I think it's very toxic. I don't even think it's good for him.
Stinks.
I don't even think it's good for him. It's not good for him.
Of course it's not.
Because you're always walking away from a situation where we all know you got away with murder. Everybody knows you got away with it. Even if the law has not considered you whatever the law considers you, I don't need the law. The law and God are two different things. That's why I'm trying to say to you, I don't have a capitalist mentality. I understand that there's a law and you have to abide by it and so on and so forth, but I don't have a capitalist mentality. So you getting one over, you may feel, so you can continue your trajectory in life within that. I think it stinks if you're not telling the truth on something like this.
100%.
It's just disgusting.
No, I'm 100% with you. I'll actually talk a little bit on the law side of it, right? So, you see, some people would probably ask, because I think some people are forgetting the fact that she decided to drop the charges, right?
Yeah.
Now, I think a question that some people would ask is, can you be charged with a crime or be prosecuted of a crime even though the witness is prepared to drop the charges? And you actually can. But what happens is, but this is what actually happens, So imagine, in court, remember, you've got the jury, you've got the defense, and you have the prosecution, The prosecution is obviously trying to prosecute, and the defense is trying to look after their client, right? Whoever is on trial. So if now they have who's the main witness in this situation, who is like not compliant, someone who wants to drop the charges, and let's say even in this situation, because they're still together, what that does is it massively hurts the prosecution, because if now we're gonna need someone to stand on this on the thing and testify, right? We're gonna need to cross-examine someone. So if we're trying to prosecute this person, we need the main witness to stand on that, and I need to cross-examine you and ask you all the questions so that we now can show the jury that this is exactly what he was doing. But if she's not down to do that, it ends up being a better case for the defense, because the defense basically says, look, they're together. They just turn around to the jury and say, look, they're together. Do you know what I mean? Like, she'll go up there, she'll say some stuff, whether it just be like, ultimately it was something that happens all the time, and I'm okay with it. I don't know. I don't know how it will be shaped, but ultimately I love this guy. I want to spend the rest of my life with him, and there's actually no problem. Like, I sent it to a friend went and did whatever they did with it or whatever, but ultimately at home everything is fine and we're all cool. The jury is very likely to turn around and say, well, yeah, this is a bit mad, but clearly this, it hurts the prosecution, because the person who's defending this can easily put a bunch of words together and sentences to explain, look, she's just said everything. So
that's why I hate a capitalist mentality. If that happens in the village, that guy's fucked. You think anyone's got any time to discuss and have the court of law? We know what you've done. In the village, we all have to work together. You doing that fucks up everything, so you can fuck off. I like that mentality.
Then let's let me play Angel's Advocate here. Then how do you then embed that person back into society?
See, that's the problem. Because society is not based upon. That's why I'm saying I wouldn't know.
Right. Because that's where it gets tricky. Because like, if someone's done a wrong, obviously we can all have that conversation. This person has done a wrong, yeah? But to put the wrong uns all over there on something that they've done isn't necessarily helpful, is it? Or is it? I'm podding here.
And what I'm doing is the same. I'm scouring through my mind like...
Yeah.
Because back in the day, they threw all the criminals to Australia.
Yes,
look at that place now.
Look, like, imagine... Okay, look.
Yeah, no.
Okay, this is a
everyone over there saying nigga. White people, black people, Chinese people.
But wait, what's happening here is that imagine you, and I hope this is clear, I'm not defending this person's behavior at all. But what I'm saying here is, you're young, you do something that is mad, yeah?
Mental.
Yeah, mental. Are we then saying, by pushing them all the way to Australia, it's like, you could never ever have a chance again?
Now, do you know what makes it difficult for me? It's difficult to make an assessment on what should happen because you have too much different types of people living here.
100%.
So there's no one way of dealing it where everyone's going to be happy because we've all got our own way of dealing with it.
How do you gauge it? How do you gauge a person who can be rehabilitated and someone who's not? Because there's some people I don't believe can be.
So do I.
I mean, some people will believe that everyone can. I don't believe so. I don't believe everyone can be rehabilitated. I think sometimes some people are so far gone
that over.
It's difficult to bring that back. You might be. I'll tell you what. Yeah. In like the percentages, they might be like 100% gone, and you might be able to bring them back to 60, but it's not enough. Do you get what I'm saying? You might be able to bring them down to that, but it's not enough. However, how do you gauge that? How do you gauge the person who's completely gone to the person who can be rehabilitated?
The thing is,
in a village way.
This is what I will say. Whatever you're willing to do to rehabilitate that person, cuz it's not up to you as the rehabilitator, and it's not even up to them. The moment you've put it out to the public, it's up to the public. And I know that sounds crazy, but that's where you live. You live amongst the public. Now, we can all say, oh, you can get back into society, no problem. But there's going to be a 15-year-old kid on Twitter going, oh, you can't avoid that. Yeah. When you go to Twitter, you can't avoid that. You have to accept that. You have to accept that. When you go to Instagram, you have to accept that. So essentially, as crazy as it sounds, you're always going to be in prison. He's always going to be in prison.
Yeah, that's true.
He's never going to be free of it. And I think the time that you become free of it is when you tell the truth. Like, obviously, Ched Evans doesn't have half the career Mason Greenwood had, even at any point in his life. But to a certain extent, Ched Evans is free from that label. He's done his time. He's done whatever he's done. There's no point in anyone bringing it back up again, realistically. He just does what he's doing. I think the issue relies, and it could, I mean, they might bring it up. I don't know for sure. But I'm saying the issue lies when you're just lying, bro. And you're saying that he's clear of all charges, but if I play the voice note right now...
No, I mean, it's nuts.
So it's like, law is capitalist, but you need it. I get it. Principle-based situations...
More than 5 years after having conviction quashed...
Oh, he had it quashed?
Footballer Chad Evans remains active in the Football League with Preston and is in action for the Championship side against Tottenham in the FA Cup this Saturday. Wow.
That was last week Saturday.
That was last week Saturday. So, did he play?
Yeah.
Oh, he did play.
So he went to prison, came out, and then had a retrial, and he won his case.
He won his case.
Well, like, Now Ranger, 100%.
I think all the differences, the big fundamental differences is that, you know what? You see, with this situation here, this Ched thing, yeah? When it comes to that, it's like two people in the room, yeah? And sometimes it's very difficult to prove. And just because somebody got off doesn't mean that they did it. But also, just because somebody also didn't get off didn't mean that they did it either.
That's true.
It's very difficult to work out.
That's true.
You see, when you hear voice notes,
This
it
is
just
the thing.
becomes, it just adds another layer to the cake, and it then gives us more room for interpretation.
Do you know what? It's so crazy because obviously we're doing a pod. You have to have a discussion about it, and you can't not have an opinion. But to a certain extent, there are some people in life when they do certain things. I don't know what should be done with you, but I just don't want anything to do with you.
I hear that.
That's just me.
I hear that.
I don't want to be the judgment of character or to determine what happens with you, because when I think about it, I am more village than I am capitalist. I don't feel I should, as a one person, go, I feel we should do this to this person. I just feel, cause you're disgusting.
As a village, though, you would have to almost
outcast
do the same
them.
thing.
You'd have to outcast them.
You'd
have to outcast them because it's different to a capitalist society. In a capitalist society, it's about outdoing the other person. So there'll be years of cunts.
Yeah.
There'll be years of cunts. So what's this different to this cunt to Jeffrey Epstein? Jeffrey Epstein got all the way to 68. This guy didn't even make to 19. Jeffrey Epstein went to 68 in a capitalist society. So although he's disgusting, I don't live by that way. So you lot figure that out. In a village, we have to work together. We have to. So if you do that...
Do you just stop working together the moment that somebody makes a mad mistake?
An error like that, it's not a one error. It was him over 2 years or a year or something like that. Like, if that's what's happening within our village, I'm going to go, no one's going to trust you in this village anymore. You know that's wrong. We have principles in our village. We consistently echo them. We work together to progress. You have ruined that. So I can't tell you right now, we can just say to you, get back in and we all work. Because I don't think the whole village is going to accept that.
What do you do with them? You just
outcast their blood clot, and when
you just put them in, you just send them to Australia.
Yeah, that's my vibe. And I know it sounds horrible, but like,
I don't know about that. I think
but it's cheap though. It's you forced yourself on a woman that's meant to be your partner over a course of time, to the point where even the parents are saying it's cool. Like the girls' parents are saying it's cool. I might send the parents to Australia as well. The parents and Mason, and we bring the girl and we rehabilitate the girl, because we're not understanding in this one situation. There's a victim that's going to need far more attention and love and to be rebuilt. Then Mason, you've done what you've done, bro. You have to deal with the consequences of your actions. You can't go, this is harsh now. No, what you've done to the girl is going to affect her for the rest of her life.
100%.
One day, she's going to be 35 years old, 40 years old. I promise you, she'll be 40 years old, Chuckie. She'll be sitting down. Her children will be running around, and she's just going to be in tears, fam. Thinking about the shit she went through when she was younger, and the shit that guy was allowed to get away with because he played for Manchester United. Like, what are we doing here? He's going to Australia, and he's not going to go on the outskirts. He might go in the middle where it's hot and there's rattlesnakes. Because then at least I know if he comes back, he's not doing...
Beer kangaroos.
Beer kangaroos. My brother.
And you know they're fighting man
They're
now
punching man up, man. What?
Bro, they're on road.
They're going...
smoky now.
Brother.
Yeah?
They're
standing up on 2 feet on a swingers thing. And he ain't got a chance.
Brother.
He ain't got a chance.
Crocodiles, alligators. Once you're around that...
Make him yamming blood clots.
I even think, you see, man, yeah.
But though,
what?
listen. Do you know what? It's the empathy in me looks at the fact that you're right. How old is he? He's 22 years old. Yeah, he's made a mad mistake. Listen, right? Listen, I don't want to defend him. Because I'm not defending him. I'm just trying to look at what we do with people that make these mad decisions. Yeah, from a village perspective. Because I'm saying, all right, boom. Of course. I'm so here for the fact that the girl ultimately needs more because of what she's gone through. I hear that. But there's a part of me that it feels difficult to accept you know what, you've made a mistake, you fuck off over there.
It's not a mistake though, that's the thing. I understand where you're coming from, but I can't label it a mistake.
Yeah, no, I hear that.
I've made mistakes. I've made a mistake where I go, I shouldn't have done that, or maybe I should have known better.
But can it be a mistake though if
you hear the voice note,
it's not.
He says, shut up, or something along the lines of, you're having sex, she goes, I don't want to, and he's forcing it in her, and he goes, I tried to ask you
nicely. Yeah.
Brother, if you want me now to have consideration,
it's nasty.
For the immediate present, I'm not saying in 10 years time,
I'm not even just it's not even just him. I'm taking it outside of him now. I'm taking it to a place of people that have done a madness how do we gauge who can be rehabilitated and who actually genuinely needs to be outcasted? Because
You send them Australia and see how they respond. You know what my thing was, yeah? My mum used to beat me, yeah? Well, let me show you. My mum used to beat me. And depending on my response, she knew whether I wanted to go through that again or not. And some things, when I knew I was going to get beat, I'm like, my mum's going to give me the real beating now. I'm not doing this again. And some things I was like, you know what? I came back an hour late, but I might do it again. It's worth it. That's not so bad. But you have to go Australia.
Do you know what I said? I say you send them one place before Australia, and then you see how they respond there.
Yeah.
If they respond mad there, then you send them Australia. If you don't send them, if they don't respond mad, then you bring them back here and you put them back into society somehow. You fit them back into society. You do.
There needs to be. You're right. Maybe there's levels. But I do feel like
you can't just get dashed away. I mean, obviously, there's certain things that are just too mad, and this is definitely one of them. Yeah, but I do think at that age, there's enough time to work out what you're on.
Just 1 second, Chucks. He should be in the building now. So if you just go out and look for him, you can just text him once you're on the way. Light skinned guy, kind of weird. Take my phone if you want.
At that age, there's enough time to decide what you're on, innit?
So what do you do? Because you're saying there's a stage before it, but I'm like, because of the severity of what he's done, there is no stage before it. But for me, like them types of things.
You look at rehabilitation, innit, and what that means, and then I think you just assess that. But then you know what has to happen? Somebody from the village has to be employed that job to go and do that. Someone from the village has to go over there.
That's true.
And make those assessments, innit? And the assessments just has to be done fair, and then the people from the village then has to put trust in the people that are making that assessment, that you know what, they've made the right decision. You get what I'm saying?
The thing is, I feel like in the village anyway, it wouldn't get as far as it got here. I could be wrong, but I don't think it would get as far as it got here. Like here got so far, she had to go to social media for help.
Yeah.
I think in the village, one of the friends.
Did she leak it? I thought
she leaked it, bro. Yeah. And then the voice notes got leaked. She was putting. It's so mad. The footage that we saw, the year we saw, it came out 2 years prior or a year prior. That's why I was like, the amount of sympathy I cannot have for this man, because this footage is getting leaked today. But this footage is old, which means he's been doing it for like a year and a half. I can't show much sympathy because that's a girl going through abuse for a year and a half. It might take her...
No, it might take her
15 to 20 years to finally get over it. I'm not saying that's 15 to 20 years I neglect my man, but do you understand where I'm coming from? Natty! What I'm charging? You're saying, fam? Yes, manager, all black. You're looking like the buffest girl in the Matrix, fam. Go on, you're doing your thing. Yes, my brother. Wow, dog. Come sit down now. So everyone's wearing Stone Island. That feels right. Money's running. That feels right. If you lot sit over there, you're not in shock. Chuckie, remember I sent you Natty the other day?
Yeah. Before we just quickly, because I just wanted to just wrap this piece up.
Yeah, of course.
You sit down though, and if you want, you're more than welcome to jump in, bro. I just want to does Man United play?
Now this is what we were discussing in the group this morning.
What are we talking about United? Come, let's get into it. I'm not ready for this.
No, it's not a football thing.
It's not a football thing like that though.
But
we're talking about Greenwood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Greenwood. What about him?
Nice, wasn't it like that?
What about him?
Basically,
I said he shouldn't play.
What I will say is though, which was part of the conversation we was having before, where it's like embedding people back into society when they've made a mistake. At what point do we? Because on one hand, it's like sometimes some people will say, you know what, like someone's committed a crime or they've done whatever it is that they've done, and that they should pay for it for the rest of their life. Me, I float like back and forth with it sometimes, so I could be quite hypocritical. At times I'm like, yeah, that's just too mad, dash them to one side. Then on the other side, I'm kind of like, well, you know what? Like, we always need to find a way to put people back fit them back into society somehow. And how do we go about doing that? Because if they become unemployable and they can't get a job and they can't do anything, then ultimately they can end up turning back to doing any type of crime, and then that's not good for society anyway. So what do we do here? Because we could turn around and we can say, for me, I don't want him. I wouldn't want to see him play. I wouldn't want to see him play. But on the other hand, it's like, well,
what else is he gonna do?
Well, yeah, what else is he gonna? What else is he gonna do?
Did OJ Simpson?
That's
play
all
again?
I was thinking of. OJ Simpson.
Did OJ Simpson play again?
I'm sure he didn't go to, but he went to Yeah,
I'm sure he played numerous times and was even MVP.
Yeah, I mean, he did.
So, in theory,
he's got to play again.
He has to.
He's got to play. He's got to play.
He has to play again.
But remember, this is how I started this conversation. Yeah, if they don't play him, he would technically have grounds to sue Manchester United for the unfair. What would be the
He
term?
wouldn't though. He wouldn't.
No, he wouldn't. But I'm just saying he could. What would be the term?
If
you're employed-
unethical, something to do.
If
with
he's doing everything that he's supposed to be doing, and there's no reason for him to not play. Actually, football works different, though. Because enough times, players are just being put on the bench and they feel like they're doing everything they're supposed to be doing.
Sancho's not playing. He's only started playing. But this is performance
But
related as well.
that's because Ten Hag sent him to.
But this will be performance related though. This will be performance related.
Yeah, because a manager could turn around and say, regardless of whether he's innocent or not or whatever, this has affected his performance as far as I'm concerned. Which is a lie.
No, it's not. I've seen guys cheat on their misses and they start playing bad. Like you can't escape
It
your
could be a
reality
lie,
on the
I'm
field
saying.
when there's 60,000 people screaming. There's no way for you to get away from it. Do you know where I'm coming from? You then figure out how does that look for the club. You then figure out how does that feel for the rest of the players. It's like you're isolating one man's situation and it's become the club's problem. So I'm like, I personally, even from the Thomas Partey situation at the start of the season, and this is not even knowledge amongst, I would say, commercial culture quite big. It's just amongst football culture. It's because it's a black woman. She's Jamaican. I'm telling the truth.
But that story's mixed up as well.
That's the reality. It's a Jamaican woman.
It stinks.
It stinks, but it's true. It's true. It's a guy
I hear you.
that's not getting that much press because he's Thomas Partey. He's messed with a black gal. It doesn't need to be pressed like that.
I heard you change religion for her and that.
His name's a Cuban now. It's mad. But come on,
He
fam.
changed his whole name.
He
man.
changed his name, everything, religion, everything, bro.
But how, if that's true or not, I don't know because there isn't that sort of Mason Greenwood voice note, which is just a bit,
Right, that's what adds. Yeah,
if there was a voice note like that where it's like undeniable, I put my hands up and say, you know what, Thomas, we can't go to that party. But the Greenwood thing, for me personally, it's just.
But how are you?
I'm good now.